SpaceX has made significant contributions to our spaceflight lexicon, demonstrating how far the company has come in its first 20 years. SpaceX, or Space Exploration Technologies Corporation, is an American aerospace company that was founded in 2002 and was instrumental in ushering in the era of commercial spaceflight. It was the first private company to successfully launch and return a spacecraft from Earth orbit, as well as the first to launch and dock a crewed spacecraft with the International Space Station (ISS). Founded by serial entrepreneur Elon Musk. But how did this person revolutionize spaceflight? How come SpaceX had so much success? Want to know the answers? Don't worry, Business Bang got you covered. So stay tuned. On March 14, 2002, Elon Musk founded SpaceX, with big dreams of creating reusable rockets, commercial spacecraft, and other advanced technology. Musk has stated that few believed it was possible at a time when space agencies dominated the industry and space hardware was mostly disposable, with the exception of NASA's Space Shuttle and its solid rocket boosters. Elon Musk is a businessman, best known in space circles for founding SpaceX, a private aerospace design and manufacturing firm. His firm was the first private company to deliver cargo to the International Space Station. Musk, a longtime supporter of Mars exploration, has publicly discussed projects such as constructing a greenhouse on Mars and, more ambitiously, establishing a Mars colony. He is also rethinking transportation concepts such as the Hyperloop, a proposed high-speed system that would connect major cities. The businessman from South Africa describes himself as an engineer and entrepreneur who builds and operates companies to solve environmental, social, and economic challenges. SpaceX is now a dominant force in its own right. The company intends to expand its 2,000-satellite Starlink internet constellation to hold up to 30,000 spacecraft. It is expanding its orbital space tourism program and is the sole provider of crewed missions to the International Space Station in the United States. And just as Musk predicted, SpaceX is now routinely launching and landing rockets carrying payloads for a diverse range of customers, including private companies, NASA, and the United States Space Force. Here are 8 ways SpaceX has transformed spaceflight. Number 1. SpaceX recycled rockets and landing boosters. SpaceX recovers and reuses the first stages of both the Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy rockets, which are now considered standard rocket technology. Indeed, such reusing is critical to the company's ability to reduce costs. About 9 minutes after liftoff, the returning boosters make soft vertical landings on solid ground near the launch pad or on autonomous drone ships in the middle of the ocean. 6 years after its first successful orbital mission landing, the company achieved its 100th rocket landing in December 2021. SpaceX also wants to launch frequently, particularly to get its Starlink constellation operational, and emphasizes the importance of reusable rockets in increasing launch cadence and lowering costs. Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy rockets are only partially reusable at the moment. Their upper stages are still discarded after launch. The Starship Super Heavy system, on the other hand, will be completely reusable. And the Super Heavy landings will be spectacular. SpaceX intends to return the massive Super Heavy directly to Earth on the launch tower. While Musk has previously discussed the concept, the new revision adds some intriguing design challenges. In fact, if you think about it, Super Heavy will never touch down because it will be caught mid-air by the tower arm. This change would mean that Super Heavy would no longer require landing legs. Musk also stated that this strategy saves mass and cost of legs and enables immediate repositioning of the booster onto the launch mount. Musk has repeatedly stated that reusability is the critical breakthrough required to make Mars settlement economically feasible. He recently estimated that if Starship development and testing go well, SpaceX could have people on the surface of Mars by 2026. While the timeline is optimistic, his goal of landing on Mars has not changed in decades and continues to fuel SpaceX's work. Number 2. SpaceX contributed to lower launch costs. Reusable rocket and spacecraft technology serve as the foundation for SpaceX's cost estimates, which are typically lower than those of its competitors. According to NASA's Office of the Inspector General in 2019, the per-seat cost for SpaceX's Crew Dragon is around $55 million, which is roughly 60% less than both the Boeing Starliner, projected at $90 million, and the Russian Soyuz, then $85 million. SpaceX sells Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy launches for $62 million and $90 million, respectively, which is significantly less than the prices charged by their main competitors. A ride on United Launch Alliance's workhorse Atlas V rocket, for example, costs slightly more than $100 million in late 2020. In accordance with industry practice, launch customers pay varying amounts to board the Falcon 9 or Falcon Heavy depending on the size of their satellite. As an example, a fleet of tiny CubeSats from various organizations may typically pay less for their rideshare than the operator of the main satellite, which is also atop a Falcon 9 on the same launch. Low costs may also apply to future systems. The Super Heavy Starship system, for example, is expected to use only $900,000 in propellant to reach Earth orbit. Musk proposed in 2019 that overall operational costs could be as low as $2 million per flight. If this is the case, Starship will be truly revolutionary, lowering the cost of access to space to unprecedented levels. Number 3. SpaceX reintroduced crewed orbital spaceflight to the United States. When NASA retired its space shuttle fleet in 2011, it was assisting several American space companies, including SpaceX, in developing replacement vehicles. SpaceX and Boeing won the $6.8 billion Commercial Crew Transportation Capability Award from NASA in 2014. NASA hoped to have SpaceX's Crew Dragon and Boeing CST-100 Starliner capsules in the air by 2017, but technical and funding issues pushed the timeline back several years. In May 2020, SpaceX launched its historical Demo 2 test mission, which sent a Crew Dragon carrying Benken and Hurley to the International Space Station during the coronavirus pandemic, providing some hope and excitement to a captive audience looking for such things. Although Florida could not see the usual launch crowds due to safety protocols associated with the pandemic, it was the first crewed orbital liftoff from American soil in 9 years. Nevertheless, NASA and SpaceX live streams showed the spacecraft successfully delivering Benken and Hurley to the International Space Station for a 2-month stay. The splashdown on August 2, 2020, the first for the United States since the Apollo-Soyuz test project in 1975, also went off without a hitch. Unfortunately, the area was overrun with boaters eager to see the procedures up close. In contrast to Boeing's Starliner, SpaceX has since completed several operational crewed flights to ISS with few issues. Starliner encountered numerous problems during its uncrewed test flight to the orbiting lab in late 2019 and has yet to return to space for another attempt. Due to a vast variety of issues, including launch windows, the pandemic, and technical concerns, Starliner was not able to launch. Crewed flights may not begin until 2023 or later. As a result, for the time being, Crew Dragon is the only way for NASA astronauts to leave for orbital space from American soil. NASA was completely reliant on Russian Soyuz vehicles to transport astronauts to and from the space station after the space shuttle retired and before Demo 2 lifted off. NASA-Russia relations have been strained in recent weeks following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which prompted a slew of international sanctions. For the time being, ISS operations are normal, but NASA must be relieved that an American crewed orbital capability is operational in case the relationship with Russia deteriorates further. SpaceX may also be able to replace some Russian services to the ISS, such as periodically reboosting the orbiting complex to avoid drag from Earth's atmosphere, pulling the station back to Earth. Northrop Grumman's Cygnus cargo spacecraft will also put this capability to the test during its current mission to the International Space Station, which began in February. Number 4. SpaceX increased orbital space tourism. We've already discussed Inspiration 4's mandate, but there are some other aspects of the orbital space tourism mission worth mentioning. Crew Dragon Resilience and its space flyers circled Earth for 3 days at a higher altitude than any human has achieved since a Hubble Space Telescope servicing mission in 1999. Inspiration 4 flew 367 miles or 590 kilometers above our planet, giving it a much better view than astronauts on the International Space Station, about 250 miles up. The crew also benefited from a domed window rather than the small portholes used by previous generations of NASA and Soviet astronauts in the 1960s and 1970s. SpaceX's marketing efforts for space tourism include the Dear Moon project, in which Japanese billionaire Yusaku Maezawa is looking for 8 crew members to join him on a trip around the moon in SpaceX's Starship spacecraft. The project received some early negative press when Maezawa asked for a girlfriend to accompany him, but a quick marketing shift had Maezawa instead asking for people from all walks of life to join. The launch date is set for 2023. SpaceX will transport paying passengers to the International Space Station for Houston-based Axiom Space, which has scheduled several missions using the Falcon 9 Dragon system. And Isaacman's Polaris project is giving SpaceX a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to demonstrate its capabilities in orbital space flight. Sarah Gillis and Anna Menon, who assist in matters ranging from crewed space flight development to taking the helm in SpaceX's mission control, will be among the 4 private astronauts on the first mission with 4 private astronauts. It's too early to say how SpaceX will position the marketing of its own personnel flying on space missions, but given how SpaceX showcased Starman, this could be done with some flair. However, because SpaceX allowed Isaacman to take the lead in promoting Inspiration, it is possible that allowing Isaacman to handle the work again for Polaris is part of the agreement. Number 5. SpaceX introduced a new look to spaceflight. Musk unveiled the long-awaited spacesuits that NASA astronauts and others aboard the spaceships would wear on future flights. While Musk stated that it was incredibly difficult to balance aesthetics and function in the spacesuits, people immediately commented on their movie star appearance. Musk had to reassure his Instagram followers that the SpaceX suit was too thin. It most emphatically works. It's perfectly safe to put it in a vacuum chamber. The costume was designed by legendary costume designer Jose Fernandez, who has worked on blockbusters such as Wonder Woman, Wolverine, Batman vs Superman and Captain America: Civil War. Along with the usual pressure tests and vacuum chamber tests, SpaceX chose flashy opportunities to test its spacesuit in space. One was used on the dummy Ripley that flew aboard the uncrewed SpaceX Crew Dragon Demo 1 test flight to the ISS in 2019, and another was used on the Falcon Heavy rocket with Starman in 2018. Number 6. SpaceX scheduled launch webcast viewing. Many space companies now broadcast their own space flights, but SpaceX stands out. Millions of people have watched the company's broadcasts over the years to see rocket stages land on ships at sea. And in one particularly spectacular example, a spacesuit-clad mannequin launched into orbit around the sun. The mannequin was one of the stars of Falcon Heavy's first launch in February 2018. The massive rocket took off without a hitch, and its 3 first-stage boosters landed in front of a massive crowd at Florida's Kennedy Space Center, the largest such gathering since the Space Shuttle program ended in 2011. When the webcast returned to an in-space perspective, the Falcon Heavy's upper stage revealed a spectacular surprise: a mannequin astronaut driving a Tesla Roadster. On the broadcast, SpaceX began playing David Bowie's Starman, giving the mannequin the same name as it began its journey around the sun. NASA and SpaceX tend to have competing broadcasts, which creates a significant but fun challenge as space fans split their attention among their social media channels and live streams. Number 7. Put billionaires at the forefront of space exploration. Of course, Musk isn't the only billionaire involved in the space industry. For example, Jeff Bezos founded the spaceflight company Blue Origin in 2001, and Richard Branson's Virgin Group owns the suborbital space tourism company Virgin Galactic. But Musk has received more attention than his fellow space billionaires. Meanwhile, Musk has regularly tweeted about updates on SpaceX's various systems, live-streamed Starship Progress reports that quickly became must-sees for space fans, and inserted himself into the cultural mainstream in a variety of ways. For example, in 2021, he hosted Saturday Night Live, appearing as the Nintendo supervillain Wario. Space tourism took a big step forward in 2021, with people flying to space with SpaceX, Virgin Galactic and Blue Origin. Both Branson and Bezos flew on their respective companies' systems. Given that a seat on Virgin Galactic now costs $450,000, these various opportunities are inevitably associated with tremendous wealth. This means that the primary audience for selling tickets is very wealthy. To be sure, having the super rich on spacecraft raises ethical concerns. People have questioned what it means to have an industry in which only rich people or people who have received favors from rich people can participate. Then there is Inspiration 4, which flew to Earth orbit for 3 days in September 2021 aboard a SpaceX Dragon. Isaacman's goal was to raise millions of dollars for St. Jude, which he accomplished with a healthy dose of publicity. Without a doubt, Elon Musk has contributed a lot for the good of humanity. And you know what? You can also transform your knowledge by subscribing to Business Bang, so what are you guys waiting for? Hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next one.